Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to the live stream. We are back a little bit. A little bit of a small break from them last week, but we're back with them this week. Next week, there'll be no live streams either. I'm away next week, so I'll just be doing some daily content. So I will upload those as per usual, so you still get some information on the markets. I mean, the live stream is really more important this week, considering the fact that we have lots and lots of data this week. It's going to be a very, very interesting trading week. It may be a very difficult trading week, to be honest, especially when it comes to kind of picking out the key direction, considering just the sheer amount of data that we do have this week alone is going to be something to really consider and be really take into factors of you sort of risk and things like that. Good afternoon, Vincent. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you? Afternoon, Roberto. Yeah, we're going to talk about the US dollar a little bit. We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve. We're obviously going to have a little look at what the potential outcome could be. Market's pricing in a pause, but it's what are they going to say after is going to make the real difference. I feel. I think we're going to get, there's a hawkish pause or a dovish pause. I think the market's looking for a little bit more of a hawkish pause than it is a dovish pause. Could the hawkish pause be priced in? That could be something as well, considering how strong the dollar has been lately. Giving it back a little bit of those gains the past couple of days. Maybe that's in preparation for the event as well. But yeah, that press conference is going to be where we are going to focus a lot of our attention tomorrow. So I'll put out a video on a bit more detail on that going into tomorrow's video, 7 p.m. I might even do a little bit of a reaction to it as well. But yeah, we've also got some key data out of China. We've had some data drops today as well. CAD CPI actually came in a little bit above expectations, down on the previous. Median CPI up to 4.1%, trimmed CPI year on year up to 3.9%. So actually near the sort of higher end of the outcomes there. CAD a really strong currency at the moment, and I do quite like the idea of being a CAD buyer. I was looking at pound CAD shorts this week, but nothing's really come to fruition from that. So basically, I haven't managed to catch the move. The move has just kind of gone. So yeah, who else have we got? We've got Sajid. Welcome to the live stream. I'm good, thank you. How are you? If you are joining me, let me know where you are watching from as well. Also, before we get going, if you could like the stream, that would be fantastic. It really helps me a lot. But we're going to go through some charts of interest. Also, let me know what kind of charts you're looking to trade this week. It's going to be a difficult trading week, and I don't think there's actually any sort of currency that doesn't have any high impact data. Arguably, the high impact data for Oz has already come out, but you've still got the China data coming out tomorrow, which is going to obviously impact the Australian dollar. So every currency is being affected this week. It's a very, very big week. And, we've even got Swiss National Bank, Bank of England, Bank of Japan. Then we've got loads of PMI data coming up at the end of the week as well. So if there was going to be any week to have a break, it would have been this week, because we just don't know which direction the market's going to go in. Let's kick it off anyway with Euro. I did quite like the opportunities on Euro. Last week we were talking about potential short opportunities. They did follow through. This week, could we see the same thing happen again? It's hard to tell. It's hard to say what could potentially happen here due to the FOMC news coming up tomorrow. We may just get continuations of what we're seeing right now, which is just a little bit of sort of a pullback going on. So we kind of had a similar thing over here as well. The market consolidated for a period, really struggled to break above the 1.0760, and then we've traded to the downside. We have come up into this low area through here. Now that low is actually driven by a little bit of a volume profile area. So what I'm actually going to do is switch over to this view here so you can see the charts in a little bit more detail. And what I basically did was I came up to indicators, I came into the fixed ranged volume profile. I just went from the swing high here down to the swing low. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to know the most traded volume area within this period of consolidation. Okay, so that's why I've used it from that swing high down to that swing low. Now you can see we've kind of come into the value area low of this area, and we did get a rejection. So that tells me one or two things. It's that sellers were active in and around this value area low. Okay, so we know that they've got an interest in selling price at that point. Does it follow through though? That's the one thing we need to ask ourselves now. Does price have another go at it? Does it reject again? I think if we get any kind of double top scenarios here, that could be in sort of insightful in a way that sellers are still looking to activate shorts up near that value area. If we trade through that value area low, I think we're going to be looking to see if price will come into the point of control. The point of control at the moment is 1.0732 for this section. Obviously, that would differ depending on how you use the fixed range volume tool. I use it in this kind of way. You can use it as well as a weekly. You can use it as a session depending on what kind of trading you're looking to do, whether it be swing trading, day trading. From a swing trading perspective, I like to use it week by week. I also have a little look at it from this kind of view as well. But you can see here, this is the sort of value zone. You've got the value area low, the point of control, the value area high. So it'd be interesting to see how price does react to that. Now, if you wanted a little bit more of a detailed look of the volume profile, obviously I'm using it on this Forex chart here, but what you can do is look to do it on a futures chart. Now, if you've got TradingView, you have got access to futures from the CME, but it's delayed data. So it's around 10 to 15 minutes delayed. Okay, so if you're looking at Euro futures, for instance, in here, all you need to do is type in EUR over to the futures tab, and you've got Euro futures listed here. What you really want to try and find is the CME futures. Okay, so you've got 6E Euro FX futures. Now, if you go down, you've got your contracts through here. So you'll have your September contracts, your December contracts, etc., etc. So I think we're running on 6EZ at the moment, actually, which is the December futures contracts at the moment. So you can select that one and you can have a little look at your Euro futures. Now, again, you can apply volume profile in the exact same way. So if you were to come down to here, go to that fixed range volume tool, go from the swing high to the swing low, it's going to give you the exact sort of, well, not the exact same, but a very similar result. So on the Euro futures, the prices do differ slightly. So that's 1.0787. If I go up to Euro US dollar, we had 1.0732. Okay, but if you kind of look at them, you can see they're pretty similar. Okay, obviously there's differences as well. For instance, we've come up to the point of control here, but that's just because of the way this is laid out. So if you're looking at sort of your tick size here or row size here from a futures point of view, you probably want to go down and have a little look at some lower ones. If you click 1, for instance, it looks a little bit better. You've got a little bit more detail of that volume. So that just want to add that in there as a little bit of a caveat. If you do want to use, obviously, futures markets, you can do that. I'm just looking at euro dollar price. It's just a little bit easier on the eye for these type of live streams. So there we go. Let me just change that row size back. So, yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking for here on Euro US dollar. I'm looking at the fact that we've come into that sort of area there. Can we see a bit of a rejection? One way I would look at that as well is keeping an eye on this hourly chart. You can see you've had a very strong rejection of that zone. Does that mean now we're going to come back? Like I said, try and reject it again and potentially head lower. I'm also going to watch for this 4-hour close, because the 4-hour for me is fairly interesting here. In terms of just that kind of 1.071 rejection. that value area low. I'll just move that up to here. You can see that a little bit better. So yeah, I want to see how price reacts here. 1.07, obviously, arguably a really big level as well, just from a psychological point of view. It's a huge level. So yeah, looking to see how the market does react. Going on to the dollar index, just to have a little look at the dollar index. Obviously, price trading to the upside. If you do take a look at the weekly chart here, we've been very bullish dollar, ever since we came into these lows back in July. The dollar has been on this superior bullish run. Now, I did do a video, could the dollar index hit 112? And I still think that that could be viable, depending on how we break here. Obviously, we've had this kind of long-term consolidation now ever since the start of 2023. So really speaking, I want to see price break out of this high, because that would tell me that the dollar against the basket of currencies is getting stronger, and that we could see obviously a move higher. I also did a little bit of analysis on euro as well, where if euro is really going to go, we could enter the sort of parity level again. That's some longer term analysis, obviously. Whether that happens, we've still got a lot of fundamentals to kind of drive those markets. But yeah, that's something to consider. Now, one currency that's been super weak lately is definitely the pound, isn't it? I mean, we've been discussing pound weakness as well ever since it kind of broke 126.50. And if we look at this weekly chart, we are very bearish here. The market is producing consistent lower highs, lower lows. Really strong weekly bearish candle last week. So again, I still quite like the idea of price continuing down to the next level of support. I've got that marked in around about this low here that formed back in May, which was 1.2310. So anywhere near that sort of 1.23, 1.2325, that sort of zone. If I was to put a zone on it, I'd probably use these kind of opens and closes on the weekly, and then just something like that. So that area there is definitely of interest. Now, why would price be targeting that anyway? Well, the bigger players push the markets around, right? Now, the bigger players at some point decided to turn price from here, push it higher. So there would be a lot of buying orders going in at that point. Now, one or two things is probably going to happen. We're either going to see them defend that level or exit those positions and try and push price to another level of support, which could be down to that sort of 1.19 level. But either way, this area here is going to be an area of interest, and I would like to see price come down into that. Now, looking at price action again this week, I'm looking at the sort of, if I just take these levels off for a second, looking at the daily price, again, strong sort of impulsive phase, consolidation, impulse. Could we maybe look at a little bit of volume analysis here as well? So if I go to the 4-hour time frame, just to kind of expand that out a little bit, I'm going to take the fixed range volume profile tool. This time I'm going to go from the swing high here. I just want to see this information of this downward move, and I'm just going to go to where current price is. It will still show us that volume zone through here. So, we're just including that as well. You can see that peak through there. So yeah, basically I'm looking to see, can we come up towards 1.2450? Can we even come up to sort of 125 again and then see a rejection? That would be quite a nice level to look out for. So I'm going to set an alert actually at 124.50. That'll give me my sort of initial thoughts to see if price will start to break higher. A nice rejection there, I think, would be quite good. It basically tell me that the market which sold from this zone, sellers are getting active again and pushing prices to the downside. So we'll see how this one builds, but I will set an alert there because I do still feel 123, even 123.50 could be a nice sort of area to look out for. And again, if price gets there, all we need to do is look at the sort of lower time frames. Are we getting the sort of double top, double bottoms? I really like using double tops, double bottoms, because it shows me essentially what buyers and sellers are doing at that point. Obviously, it's not a complete rule, but I just think that if we get sort of selling pressure coming in at an important level, and then they try again and fail, it's a good sign that we could see a bit of a reversal there. Obviously, as well, if you want to use volume tools to help you with that volume, footprint charts, things like that. That can also be beneficial. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking for there on cable. But we may not want to look against shorts against the US dollar right now. I think we discussed a little bit earlier that CAD's been strong. Even the sort of news from Canada's been pretty good today. CPI year on year up to 3.9%. CPI month on month didn't fall as expected. It's actually coming at spot 4%. So there's definitely some bullishness coming to CAD. That could be helped by the rally in oil that we've seen recently. We did discuss oil going long for quite a little bit now, and we are now at that $92 area. So we've been talking longs pretty much from this arrow here all the way up into that $92, which is basically this weekly high that formed through there. So oil's very bullish. Is that then going to kind of go into sort of the Canadian dollar as well? Those flows going to go into the Canadian dollar for a little bit. Maybe if we see a little bit of a turnaround in the price of oil, maybe if price starts to reject that $92 area a little bit to come back down, maybe even to retest the $83 area before continuing higher. The CAD may still get a couple of weeks of bullishness from that. So I like the idea of being long CAD. I like the idea of being short pound. So pound CAD really is definitely one to watch. It has been one to watch for the past couple of weeks. We can see price traded through that nice trend line support there. From a technical perspective, we are quite bearish here at the moment, especially because we double topped again. Real key indication that the price is going to potentially move to the downside. We're now approaching a bit of a level though. So you've got the 166 handle, 166.25, which were these sort of zones down through here. Now price has come all the way back down into that, and I've really struggled to get an entry on pound CAD, to be honest. If I look at the hourly chart here, I was looking for a couple of different areas. Now you can see I had an alert back at 168. That was when price was kind of becoming bullish here. I was looking to see a 168 bounce. Didn't quite get that. Haven't really seen the price hit the 50 MA either. So you can see there's a nice little 50 MA bounce at that point, which would have been obviously very nice to jump onto. But yeah, haven't really managed to catch that pound CAD train, so to say. So, if we do get any kind of recovery, maybe we could look at the 167, have a little bounce there. But yeah, it might be just one of those markets where this is where strength and weakness really comes into it, because when one currency is really strong, one currency is very weak, there's often sort of little pullbacks. There's not really any kind of opportunities to jump on them unless you are looking at really low time frames. That's the only way you would have been able to jump on any kind of move here. But now we're back at the 166. We may get some further downside. A break below 166 will open the doors up for a move down to the 161 perhaps. So yeah, just keep this on your watch list. I think if we do see any kind of continuations, then there could be a move down. We do have a Bank of England announcement coming up on Thursday. They're looking to hike interest rates. So again, what is the tone from the Bank of England statement and press conference that follows? Is it going to be one where that is the peak of the interest rates? If it is the peak, then there's good potential for pound to continue to go lower. Because if it's the peak, then we know that the Bank of England aren't going to try and push things much further, and that soon there could be maybe some interest rate sort of deductions. So yeah, it'll be very interesting there. But pound CAD definitely one to keep your eyes on. I was watching pound Oz as well. I did like pound Oz last week. I did actually short pound Aussie last week up on, I think it was the 15th. I shorted it. Might have been the Thursday, the 14th. This candlestick here, basically, I shorted the low of it. And price is now, continuing to break to the downside. But I do quite like pound Oz. If we have a little look at it from a weekly perspective, we can see that we've traded through this trend line support. We've also traded through that weekly level at 1.92, which is something I was quite interested in as well as support. A continuation here could lead to the one spot 89.50. Now, one thing I just want you to take a quick note of is if you look at the stochastic at the bottom, you can see it's kind of showing that bearish momentum ever since we've dropped below the 80 line. Price is coming back. So what I like to do is kind of see when was the last time price did that? How did the market move? Sort of with that, you know, so we've got these kind of moves there. So the last time it did that, we didn't actually get any kind of downside movement. Okay, price was still technically in a bullish trend there. We had a bit of a sort of doji off trend line support, off horizontal support, and price continued to move to the upside. The difference between this and this at the moment is that we've traded through trend line support, but we are approaching the horizontal. So that's the only difference there. We've broken through that trend line support. Obviously, as well, at this point, the fundamentals would probably be different. At this point, we would probably be long cable because the Bank of England were going to be aggressively hiking interest rates. Now their tone has changed, their language has changed, and you know there's potential for pound to move lower. So that could also be a catalyst to drive price towards that 189.50. Just a little bit of sort of momentum gain in there from the stochastic at the moment. Obviously, indicators are lagging, so you know price is king here. We have broken down through last week's low. So the way I'm kind of using this information at the moment is very simple. I'm just looking to see how price reacts to different levels, and at the moment we're at one spot 92. Price has traded through it. So is it going to continue to trade through it? If so, can it be used as rejection? If not, and a false breakout occurs, then we're probably going to come back to the 193. And again, how does price react? Does it trade through the level to the upside, or does it reject and start breaking lower again? So that's what I like to use sort of the higher time frame for. We could probably use a little bit of volume analysis here, to be honest. If you have a little look from the swing high down to the current levels, you can see there's a point of control level at one spot 92.50 at this current moment in time. So is there an opportunity to see a move back to one spot 92.50 for that continuation? I'm actually going to move my alert down to that level just below it, just so you can potentially test it. And yeah, we'll see if price continues down from that point. Any questions so far, guys? Let me know if where you're watching from. Let me know if you're enjoying the stream so far. And yeah, what charts are you guys watching? One video or one commodity we talked about yesterday was gold. We like the idea of gold moving higher, or I like the idea of gold moving higher. Might be seen as a little bit of a hedge for all this news coming up this week. So let me know if you like the thought of trading gold. I'm just going to change this into, I'm going to change these to support levels. And we've got some resistance levels coming up as well. Let's clone these up because I do quite like this 1980 area. Let's clone that up as well. And then obviously we've got that $2,050 areas as well. So yeah, there's stuff to definitely be looking at there. Afternoon, Royston. Hope you're well. Ahmad is watching gold at the moment. Yeah, watching that. That should be quite nice for a potential move. I think 1945 is definitely your next point of interest. Obviously, it's the previous swing highs on the daily, so that's definitely of interest. TMR, do you have any videos explaining in detail about your swing strategy? Don't think I do have any videos. There might be if you from the early days. Let me have a quick look, because if I find one, I'll post into. Let's have a quick look. I know I did do a video back in the day of an RSI strategy. I don't think I've done one on my specific strategy. But if you do go to our YouTube channel, you can select the most popular. There are a few sort of strategy videos within that, but not specifically my strategy. I did do a trend trading strategy using the RSI, the 50 and the 200. So that one is featured there. Let me just post that one. Let me just grab that for a second. Just pause that there. This is 3 years old here, so you want to have a little look at that one. Obviously, strategies and things like that, they adapt. I adapt them over time. I'll try and improve the performance of them over time. The fundamental basics have stayed the same, but I've really sort of developed over time. More into sort of volume-based tools as well. So. I'm at potential shorts at 1944 if the Fed raises tomorrow. Cool. Sajid, market is lazy, watching your analysis. Yeah, I think the problem is when we get to these kind of news weeks, I think a lot of sort of positioning goes on where I think a lot of people would see a lot of that news and go, yes, this is going to be a great week to trade. But the way I see it is when there's a lot of uncertainty around, the market sometimes can be a little bit more trickier to trade. The moves that you see before data can be those that are a little bit more manipulative in nature. So it can be a little bit tough. And, especially if you're just looking at candlesticks like this, if you're just doing pure candlestick analysis, it can be hard, right? Because you don't know what's going on within that. So that's why we use patterns and things to kind of add extra confluence. We use indicators as well and whatnot. But let's have a little look at the weekly chart on this, because I do quite like looking at the weekly chart. I do a lot of my analysis on the weekly time frame, especially obviously at the end of a week. But I've got this trend line plays through here. We've got a move down from sort of the high, which was, what was that high? Around about $2,067. Connects with the high here around about the 1989. It then continues through. Now, I'm not a huge fan of trend lines, I must admit. Trend lines, unless they are super obvious. Okay, now this one to me, I would say is an obvious trend line to look at, because when we do see the fact that it's touched this high and then come lower, we've had that retest. I do put more weight into horizontal levels than I do trend lines. But I think the more kind of confluences you can add together, obviously, the more sort of traders are looking at certain points. It's like, if I was to add a fib there, let's just play the game a little second. If I was to add a Fibonacci there and go from the swing high to swing low, the 38.2 fibs there as well. So the way I kind of look at a lot of indicators in the markets are what traders are going to be looking at what. Okay, so I know fib traders, which is a very popular tool in the Forex markets. I know they're going to be looking at that 38.2, around about that 94, $1948 area. Okay. So I take that into consideration. It's not necessarily what I would trade from, but it's just something I take into consideration. If it then matches up with a horizontal level of resistance, so if I come through here, for instance, and we can see that price has been finding some support through that area, a little bit of resistance through that area as well, then we can add a little bit more weight to that level. If you want to compound that as well with some trend line, great. If you want to compound it with some volume analysis, I think even better. If we go from that swing high down to that swing low there, you can see a lot of volume coming through there. There's actually a bit of a volume spike through there. We'll kind of expand that out a little bit more. Let's see if it gives us any kind of insights through there. So yeah, nice little volume spikes through there. I think we actually touched upon this when we were talking about it at the time. But if you can add more confluences to a point, then it's obviously going to be better. But yeah, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, so I'll come back. I'll come back to gold. So yeah, weekly chart, we're breaking out of that weekly support resistance level. Sorry, the resistance trend line. The next level of interest is going to be that $19.45 area. If we sort of trade through that, the next stop's going to be the 1980. Is this the point where gold does move to the upside? I did have a little look at the monthly chart. I didn't really get much insight. The only thing I can really see from this chart is look at the sort of wicks that are coming down into this level here. So the sticking point really is around about that 1890 dollar area, or even to the $1900 area. The market is finding buyers every time it comes back to that area. So that to me is interesting. You know, why are buyers interested down at here? Is that because they think that it's good value at that point? And if it does mean it's good value at that point, is there going to be a point to where their buying becomes a point where it's overwhelming the sellers and then price starts to push higher? You know, that's something to consider as well. So I think a break below that, obviously sellers win. I think we'd be driving down to our sort of 1815 sort of level there. I just think at the moment gold could be being used as a little bit of a hedge in this sort of uncertainty with all this news coming up. And even Bank of Japan could even move slightly from their negative interest rates. Governor 𝖢𝖣yiِ has already kind of talked about it. So that in itself could be quite critical, and that in itself could maybe drive a little bit of sort of uncertainty as well. So, even more fuel, I think, for the price of gold. Those traders that like head and shoulders patterns would be interested in this market. You can see we have a left shoulder, the head. Is this now the right shoulder of the pattern? Okay, so again, adding a little bit more confluence to that. Head and shoulders traders could be looking at this as a potential neckline breach. I mean, the neckline for the head and shoulders is descending, but it's more looking like that, I'd say, rather than the trend line that I've drawn. So there's still a little bit of a way to go for those traders to start getting involved with that particular move. But at the moment, I just think a lot of the price action is pointing more to the upside for gold than it is to the downside. That was kind of a long way round to saying that, gold could move higher, but hopefully that made a lot of sense. Absolutely, from Ahmad. Great. Sajid, request a new mag video of your strategy, please. Okay, I'll add that to the list. I'm producing a few videos in the background, so I will make sure I can get around to that at some point. Let's go take a look at some other markets, because like I said, oil's performing pretty well at the moment. I think CAD is a market which I really like. I really like CAD Swiss. Went long on this market last week, ended up coming out break even, unfortunately, but I did go long initially here. Some data dropped, and I didn't like the look of the 4-hour close below this high at the 65.90. But how wrong was I? Price just continued to push to the upside. So my original entry was here. My stop loss was just below this low. My overall target was up around 66.50, which was about here. So that would have been a 3-to-1 trade. I got took out for break even. I basically got spooked by this candlestick there, and I moved my stop to break even. Got taken out and missed out on which is now a 5.7R trade. So that's unfortunate, but we'll have to bite the bullet and just have a look at potentially another position. So, sorry, Royston, I missed your message there. What time frame is that H&S chart? That is on the weekly chart of gold. If I just flick back, yeah, this is the weekly chart. So the left shoulder low comes in around about the 1895. The head comes in around about 1885, and then the potential right shoulder would be the week last week. Okay. But going back to CAD Swiss, if you're having a look at this from a weekly perspective, actually, let's go and have a look at this from a monthly, because from all the data that I've got here from 2000, so I've only got up to 2004 on CAD Swiss on this particular instrument at this moment. The price is pretty much at its lowest low. Okay, we reached that sort of 0.6480. I think the lowest point was 64.60. So I'm interested here in a bit of a pullback, especially because CAD's getting stronger. So I like the idea of being a buyer here. Obviously, I was a buyer last week, but got took out for break even. So just again, trying to find a bit of movement. The CAD data today hasn't helped in terms of looking at the pullback. You can see I've marked out this zone in here in 66.40. Again, just kind of looked at a little bit of volume analysis here as well. Went from this swing low. At the time, the swing high wasn't where it is, but just for argument's sake, I will put it at that position there. But you can see there's like a nice little volume pocket around about 66.34. So I've placed an alert at 66.40. I'm going to watch to see if price can come back down to that zone of interest, and then see if there's any kind of reaction from that. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. I'm just going to have to sit and wait, see if price will pull back. Very similar to what happened here, really. We had a nice little consolidation. It was more on the hourly that I was looking at it. There's a nice little period of consolidation through there. Price traded outside of it. It came back to it. It rejected. I waited for a break of this minor trend line resistance. If I just zoom right in, you'll be able to see that. 1 second. Waited for a bit of a breakout of this trend line resistance. You can see the stochastic as well, pointing to the upside. And then, yeah, that was the sort of trade plan. I'm going to look for a very similar thing here. I nearly went long yesterday here. I just didn't like the price action. And I think sometimes a lot of trading has got to do with, a lot of feeling. And I just didn't like the price action there. Obviously, my feelings were wrong and the market doesn't care how I feel. But I wouldn't have been comfortable long there, I don't think. I don't think I would have been comfortable. If you're not comfortable in the position, then you're more likely to, do silly things. So just wasn't comfortable with that. Then obviously CAD data dropped at 130. Ever since, price has just been pushing higher. So yeah, I'd like to see some kind of retracement here now on CAD Swiss. But, the Swiss pairs are really kind of drawing my attention. We do have to be aware because the Swiss National Bank does come out with a interest rate decision on Thursday. So yeah, but CAD's looking good. Aussie Swiss I'm also taking a little look at. Sorry, Bongo, I missed your message there. Hi, John, have you reviewed Euro, US dollar, and pound? If so, please do another quick review. Thanks, mate. Yeah, I'll jump on another quick review. I'll jump on it after Aussie Swiss. But yeah, I have already talked about Euro, dollar, pound, dollar. But if we have a little look at Aussie Swiss very quickly, 58.50 is an area of interest. Again, what's really going on the bigger picture? Well, the weekly's definitely in a downward trend. There's no doubt about that. It's what kind of phase are we in? So, I like to look at the weekly time frame, look at the phase. Are we in an impulsive phase? Are we in a retracement phase? And what does that tell me? If we're in a retracement phase, I know on the lower time frames, I'm going to get some opportunities to trade against the larger trend. That's exactly what's happening here at the moment. We're pulling back and we're potentially going to pull back into 58.50. Why 58.50? Well, it's this low that formed here that price has recently breached to the downside there. So I'm looking to see if price will come into that area. Add a little bit of confluence to that. We've got a trend line resistance running down through here as well. And there is, I believe, a fib level. I don't remember where quite that fib level is. Yeah, so you got the 61.8 just sitting slightly below that area and the 50% sitting slightly above it. So within that sort of zone. So, if we are going to see that continuation on a pullback, the 4 hour should be creating an upward trend, which you can see just through here. The market is making nice higher highs and higher lows. We've recently just broken through trend line resistance. So I was looking at a potential opportunity here for a move higher. I just don't like the reward to risk ratio. I'd like it to be a bit better than that. That is 1.3 reward to risk. It's not bad, but I'd like a little bit more. So I was just kind of highlighting the 15-minute time frame. You can see the 50 MA on the 15 is around about 57.80. Again, why am I interested in that zone? Look at the consolidation through there before price broke higher. So the price can come back to there. Obviously, from a risk to reward point of view, I'll have a better profile there. So if we were to just actually kind of price that up, let's say price came back, gave me everything that I wanted to see. I don't want to buy limit these areas because buy limits are a little bit risky. But you can see that my risk to reward profile jumps nearly 3 times. So that's why I quite like the idea of waiting for that pullback. If it does pull back, then great. If it doesn't, then I'll have to look for a different kind of entry into this market. But I just want a better risk reward profile there. Let's just flip back for Bongo then, just to jump onto these euro US dollar. Just watching how price reacts to this area here. I was just showing everybody at the start of the live stream that we were looking at this volume profile through there. Value area high is at the value area low is at the 1.0710 area. We've come up into that, we've rejected it. I wanted to see how price reacts here now. Do we continue this downward trend, in line with what we're seeing from the weekly chart, which has been, very, very bearish. The weekly stochastic still very bearish as well. So I do still like this short. I do like 1.0550 maybe as a level of interest. Maybe if you want to come in a little bit above that at the 1.06, I'd completely understand that, considering the current market conditions we are in. But that's what I'm kind of looking for. If we look at the daily chart as well, current daily chart giving us a little bit of a rejection. We're making lower highs, lower lows. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of eyeing up at this moment in time. How does that finish? It's a 4-hour chart, so that's got another 3 hours on it, I believe, before that closes. So yeah, just kind of waiting on that. Cable, I like cable a lot. I think price is definitely bearish here. But do I like cable? Pound against the dollar over euro dollar. I don't know about that, but I do quite like this zone that I've marked in. So I've put an alert at 1.2450. We've got a point of control of at 125. So that's another area of interest. But I like pound against other things. You've got pound Oz potentially, pound Kiwi's actually quite an interesting market to look at a short, and pound CAD's obviously just taken off. So yeah, hard to kind of jump on that one unless you're on lower time frames. So yeah, that's the kind of quick breakdown of pound US dollar, euro US dollar. Let's go have a quick flick over to US dollar, Japanese yen. We came and retested 146 last week. This week has just been really flat. There's been no sort of clear direction out of this market really this week so far. We've just basically gone sideways, but we've only had 1.5 days of trading. So, maybe there's a potential. I think a breakout of 148 would be interesting and bring in the 149 resistance, maybe even to the 151s and above. So, there could be something going on there. Maybe I'll just add an alert there, just see if we get a breakout. So there's not really much to report on that. Obviously, we've got the Bank of Japan coming up this week as well. So Bank of Japan, press conference and whatnot. So yeah, there could be some decent movements to come for the yen at this moment in time. So guys, we've been running for about 45 minutes. I'll probably just leave it there. Does anyone have any questions before I leave? If not, I will speak to you on Thursday. I'll do maybe a little bit of a reaction video to the FOMC data tomorrow, and yeah, we'll see what kind of comes out of the press conference. Do we get that hawkish pause or a dovish pause? If you could really do me a solid favor, please like the stream. It really helps me massively. It only takes 2 seconds of your time, and I'd really appreciate that. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. We've got lots of Forex trading content on our YouTube channel, and yeah, we think it could really help you out a lot. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking your time to watch the stream. I do really appreciate it. I really appreciate all your comments and questions and things like that. Keeps me in my flow. So yeah, I appreciate you all, and yeah, I will speak to you on Thursday. Cheers, guys.